Hi, End of the Road News Part 2 of the previous recording. So I was talking to you about this guy, Paul. This guy is rather strange. He's hard to get a kind of a good feel about. I'll give him some credit there as far as I don't think he's really trying. I think that's just kind of him. We'll talk more about my interview with him. He's very shy, to say the least, maybe even anti-social, very antisocial, somewhat religious character, and interesting, but he's pretty open and honest, but certain things as far as like personal identifiers he was not willing to give easily or freely. So again, he was saying that there's all sorts of parts of the story that make sense. First off, he said he was a J6er. I never revealed who I was or what I'm about or that I was a J6er too. I can only presume that he may have known and he was not letting on, or he really didn't know and the government just shoved us together. But I have a reason to believe, because of his piquing of interest in J6 type things and subjects, and that was the only thing he was really interested in. He didn't push for any knowledge, but he started opening up. You could see it, and that's what he was interested in, because I asked him a whole bunch of questions about what he was interested in. Again, he came into my room. He was carrying a bag of trash around with him. It stank, the bag of trash, and him stank. And so, it was very helpful. I allowed him to have the lower bunk, and because he's so short and small and peculiar. And I started talking to him, started picking his brain pretty quickly, and he came off as pretty open and honest in the beginning. He told me he had anxiety. He told me all sorts of stuff. He wanted his own self. That was it. That's all he really wanted the entire time he was here. He said, "I just want my own self." So I don't think he was some sort of informant necessarily. He never asked me a single question, so as an informant I have to kind of be open and honest about that. I just found it really particular when the fact is that they were using snapshots from his live stream, the things he said. You can read his court case probably more than I can. I already tried through my tablet. It doesn't work. Can't find anything on him. I had someone look up all these other things, his court stuff, and it's interesting. This guy is really a case. This guy is a case. But the thing is, in some of these court documents, there's pictures of me. So or at least one picture, I guess. But I'm sure from the live stream that it was taken from, it appeared that he was following me around at least somewhat, especially around the Ashley Babbitt thing. So that is something worth noting. Again, he was never really interested in me as anything. He wasn't asking anything. He was very to himself. So I gotta kind of clarify some of that stuff. I don't think he's an informant. I don't think he's an informant at all. So I think he's what he says he is. He's anxious. He's autistic. Maybe Asperger's or something syndrome. He couldn't verify any of that stuff, but people did pick on him today. They basically were throwing stuff at him. Supposedly, they said that he was calling them racial names and stuff. I asked him, I said, cut that out. He said, no, I'm not saying any of that stuff. They're making that shit up. So who knows? I didn't hear it. I never heard it. But it certainly put us all in a debacle today because of race in jails and prisons and stuff. That's a thing. There's lots of racism. And I don't really, in real life, I don't really deal with racism. I'm not racist. This guy is a glow nigger for sure. Paul Kovacic, we'll call him glow nigger. He just totally is a total nut job. And I'm not a racist. I just hate white people. So anyway, let's get back to the show. He is gone. I'll just say, get to the point. This morning I woke up and I said, hey, there's a free cell. Let's get you over there because you want your cell, and I want to give you whatever you want just so you're out of here, basically. But nothing was ever good enough. He said, no, I want to go to CTF. I want to go to CTF. He's very childlike. I would even say when I started like pressing him and stuff, he might be whatever he says he is, but it was very. I would say he's very infantile like. He's very childlike. So I thought he was retarded. I don't know about autists or any of that stuff. I think he was slightly retarded. So mildly retarded. But his whole story is still weird, and he wasn't forthcoming about a lot of stuff, so we have to kind of dig. We have to dig on this really infantile brainchild, whatever the hell's wrong with him, I don't know. I stood up for him while they were picking on him. I just can't help him if he keeps going into these situations. So something about him, we can dig into his J6 past or whatever, but it's really obvious. He pled guilty, sentenced to 3 months, and then he fled to Ireland. He came back because he was homesick and was immediately put in the system. So it's just strange. 24 previous incarcerations. He's wanted in 4 different states. He's kind of, when we talk about autism, he's kind of criminally sharp, like criminal. I wouldn't call him a criminal mastermind, but certainly his thinking can take a dark route. And so I got to just kind of profile him a little bit here because it wouldn't be fair to my audience just to label him all this stuff or nuts or anything like that. He's kind of sharp, and I think his story just doesn't line up with reality. Something's not right there. Someone told him to be at the Capitol, is my opinion. He might be blackmailed. I don't know. People in here kind of profiling him, saying he looks like a pedophile and stuff. I don't know. Some people that are autistic, that have childlike thinking and stuff, could gravitate towards children. I just don't have any evidence, so we're not going to go down that route. But that would be a good reason to blackmail somebody and get them to storm the Capitol. Remember, a lot of politicians are pedophiles, and so they need to throw these pawns down the stream so that they don't take the brunt of this stuff. And that's what a lot of this January 6th stuff seems. It seems to have a lot of people that were doing this because the government has dirt on these people and need them to do something bigger and for them. And these are small crimes in comparison to the actual charges. If you look at these cases, these people that are taking plea deals, not all, but certainly some, maybe a lot, maybe most, I don't know, tend to be people that have done way worse stuff, and we're not giving them real credit. We're trying to shove some Trump supporters in there and frame Trump supporters, and that's certainly still a thing. So, but let's talk about some of these other weird things. So here's a story that I personally have had happen while he was here, and something that he did, and talk about today a little bit. So in Salt Lake City, Utah, he went to a bank, and he said he needed to use a bathroom. They said, go across the street to a restaurant. It was closed. He came back to the teller, and he had a piece of shit of his own feces wrapped up in a tissue, and he handed it to her, and he said, here you go. So that's the kind of guy, this vindictive little shit, burglar. He didn't rob the bank, he just came in to make a deposit, so to speak. But that's still really not that okay. And here I told him to wipe the toilet seat up after he was done pissing because he has a problem aiming, and his pee is the most acrid, yellow-brown I have seen in anybody in my entire life. He just drinks Kool-Aid all day. He's got Kool-Aid stains on his face. Another tidbit about it is like he's got cold sores on his face, all sorts of weird shit. We don't know. I don't know what's going on with this guy. There's something, probably a John, we'll call him some sort of John, maybe spends his entire checks on male prostitutes. I have no idea. Okay. So let's just get that out of the way there. But I came over and I was like, yo, you gotta, wipe that up. I mean, that's ridiculous. So he wiped the toilet seat off with the toilet tissue, and then he flushed the toilet with the toilet tissue. So he pushed the button with the toilet tissue. So his piss-covered rag of tissue, this is the kind of guy we're talking about here. He's nasty. He is filthy. He stinks. Oh, my God. And, today I was going to tell him to wash his stinky ass, but that's the kind of, anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. So he's touching the plunger, the flusher with this shitty piss-covered thing. I'm just like, yo, this guy has got to go. So this morning I woke up and I said, free cell, why don't you go take it? He's dicking around. I'm fucking, you got to do it now. I mean, if someone's going to take it. Oh, I'll do it later. So I go to the guard and I say to him, this guy wants his own cell. Can he have this? They say no. So I drop it. Okay, so that's it. I drop it. This guy doesn't. He somehow convinces the guard that he's worthy of getting this room, but he doesn't want to move in, and nothing's good enough for him. Then they give him another room. He doesn't want to move in there either. They give him another room, and people are fucking doing all sorts of moving. Like, it's Monday, but this is the time where people come in, Monday, so he needs to do something, and he's not doing anything. All of his shit's out. Some of it's in this room. This is the one that I tried to get him. Then he leaves all this shit out, and he grabs his bag of trash, and he's just sorting his trash outside, and he's stacking his trash. It's something he does every time he leaves somewhere. He just stacks some of the trash that he's leaving behind. That's the kind of guy we're dealing with here, and I'm asking him, do you want me to throw this away for you? No, I don't want any help. I don't want any help. That's the kind of guy he is. I just don't want any help. Don't do anything. Anyway, so, okay, so then he starts getting picked on by this black gang in here, and it's cool. I mean, the thing is, they're going to pick on people, but I'm like, can you stop picking on this guy, because something's wrong with him. And I'm giving some sympathy for this loser. He's a loser. And he starts to retaliate. He's getting more and more mad. He's snapping. He's leaving his shit all over the...
You have 1 minute remaining.
So he's leaving his shit all over the place like a homeless freak. I'm like, these guys are going to steal his shit. And I'm looking out for this guy, and they're just picking on him, and they leave, like while people are moving back and forth, he slips through the door and he's escaping. He made an escape, guys. He was waiting for the door all day to open, and he was by it, and these guys were picking on him, and he finally makes it through. And they're like, hey, where are you going? And he cocks back, and they close the door. The guard didn't really see it. He slipped through. This is crazy. Then he can't make it because both sides are closed, so now he's stuck in this tunnel, or this, not alleyway or tunnel, but passageway, and he can't leave. And then he comes back, and then he makes another break for it. And so that's the kind of guy we're dealing with here. Anyways, they took him out of here. They were like, nothing's good for this guy. We can't help him. No one. Oh, he reached in. He tried to touch all the ice. That's one of those things you just don't do.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.